The chair lays before the House a communication.
The Speaker's Rooms, Washington, D.C., October 3rd, 2025. I hereby designate the period from Tuesday, October 7th, 2025 through Monday, October 13th, 2025 as a district work period under Clause 13 of Rule 1. Signed sincerely, Mike Johnson, Speaker of the House of Representatives.
There you have it. MAGA Mike Johnson has declared that there will be another at least week-long vacation in the House of Representatives, and that vacation may extend many weeks through the entire month of October. You saw there at the beginning, that's what was being announced in the House of Representatives. MAGA Mike essentially shutting down the House of Representatives, telling Republicans, do not show up. This as we are in a government shutdown. Now, one of the key reasons that MAGA Mike Johnson is doing this is that he and Donald Trump want this shutdown. We see that the MAGA Republicans are giddy. Donald Trump posting AI memes of himself as the Grim Reaper, destroying federal government workers' lives and going after blue states and blue cities and people who he doesn't like and calling them all radical. But another critical reason why MAGA Mike is telling the Republicans that the House of Representatives is officially closed is he's trying to avoid swearing in the Democratic Congresswoman-elect Adelita Grijalva from Arizona's 7th Congressional District, who won by more than 40 points in a special election about 2 weeks ago. She would be the 218th signature on the Jeffrey Epstein discharge petition. I should call it the Trump Epstein discharge petition to release the Epstein files or to force a full vote on the House floor for the release of the Epstein files. You'll recall that that discharge petition has been led by Democratic Congressmember Ro Khanna as well as Republican Congressmember Thomas Massie. We should officially be calling this government shutdown the Donald Trump Jeffrey Epstein shutdown, because that's one of the main reasons that they're shutting this government down, to avoid this discharge petition. You're seeing it in action right there. This is the official notice from the House Press Gallery. The chair announced the Speaker's designation of Tuesday, October 7th through Monday, October 13th as a district work period. In other words, paid vacation for the members of the House of Representatives as Americans suffer from the shutdown. This will continue to delay the swearing in of Adelita Grijalva, who would be the 218th vote of the Epstein discharge petition, which is what I explained before. Congresswoman AOC writes the following: the government is in full shutdown and the Republicans are refusing to call the House back into session. Want to know why? Because we have secured the final vote on releasing the Epstein files and they don't want it out. Call GOP and tell them to swear in Adelita Grijalva, Congresswoman-elect from Arizona's 7th Congressional District. Congresswoman-elect Grijalva just posted, still playing games with my swearing-in date? The people of Southern Arizona deserve voices in Congress now. What are the Republicans so afraid of? One more vote for accountability. Congresswoman Fernandez says, Day 3 shutdown update. Speaker Johnson just canceled next week's votes instead of working to end this shutdown. Is it because they don't want to lower Americans' healthcare costs or because they don't want to release the Epstein files? I think we know the answer. It's both. Meanwhile, California Governor Gavin Newsom says, look, I don't think the shutdown benefits anyone. I hope we can reach a compromise, but it's difficult to do compromises with Donald Trump, a guy more interested in playing golf over the weekend. And MAGA Mike, who says to his Republicans, we're on vacation, time to party. Who does that? Time to vacation, time to party? Here, play this clip.
I don't think a shutdown advantages anybody. So I hope we can find compromise. It's difficult to do that with a guy who was more interested in playing golf over the weekend.
Do you think Democrats should?
I'll continue. Not only he played golf all the weekend after canceling a meeting with Senate Democrats. The President of the United States canceled a meeting with the leaders in the Senate and in the House of Representatives, and then felt it was more important, hours before a shutdown, to play golf. And then, rather than having a serious meeting, decided to troll those leaders with a Trump 2028 hat that he put on the Resolute desk and sent out a tweet after he sent out an AI video doctored with a racist video of Speaker Jeffries in a sombrero. These are not serious people.
Meanwhile, the Democratic leader in the Senate, Chuck Schumer, says the following. We just heard that Speaker Johnson said it's time for a vacation. Seriously? Here, play this clip.
First, well, we just heard that Speaker Johnson said the House is out again. Johnson and House Republicans care more about protecting the Epstein files than protecting the American people.
Now, I agree here wholeheartedly with Jessica Tarlov on Fox. Moments ago, she said, you want to try to mock the Democrats, messengers, do it all you want. But the reality is, in every single poll, Washington Post, Marist, New York Times, Morning Consult, by huge amounts, the American people blame Donald Trump, MAGA Mike Johnson, and the MAGA Republicans for this shutdown. Of course, Donald Trump is like in the witness protection program, right? He's just totally disappeared. He's not doing public appearances. And MAGA Mike just told the Republicans it's time to party and go on a vacation. Of course it's their fault. The Democrats are there to work. I interviewed Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries yesterday, and he said, look, we're here. Let's do this in public. Show up. Let's do it in front of the cameras. MAGA Mike's response is, let's go on vacation? Seriously? Here, play this clip.
You get free health care.
You do what you want. You want to make fun of us. You want to say
no. We just want you to acknowledge what you're identifying as legitimate isn't.
The thing is, you can mock Democratic messengers all that you want, but then that just says something terrible about the Republicans because we are lapping you when it comes to this. Washington Post, 17 percentage point advantage for the Republicans as who is responsible. Marist, New York Times, Siena, Morning Consult. Should we extend the ACA subsidies? The Kaiser Family Foundation, 78% say yes, including a majority of Republicans, including a majority of MAGA Republicans. Washington Post, 71% yes. The Wall Street Journal reporting today, inside the White House, aides are discussing proposals to extend the enhanced subsidies for the Affordable Care Act health insurance plans, officials said. Republicans know that they are being blamed for it, and rightly so. They're trying to kick the can down the road. They said, well, we'll deal with it the next time. But you have to make your plan choices in November, not in December when we're going to deal with this again.
Well, and then the MAGA Republicans don't want to acknowledge what all of the polling data says. Here's MAGA Republican Senator Roger Marshall. Play this clip.
Washington Post poll that was just out here showing more Americans are actually blaming President Trump and you guys, congressional Republicans, for the shutdown than Democrats. Is that giving you pause?
Oh, I think that's a very false scenario right there. I think everybody realizes this is a Schumer shutdown, that this is a politically driven shutdown, driven by AOC and the squad and the liberal Marxist portion of the Democrat Party. I think that's truly what's going on here. That's because, and then none of their arguments make sense why they're trying to shut it down. It just doesn't make any sense to anybody. So I would just discount that poll altogether, and that's not what I'm hearing from back home.
Why do you discount that?
Well, I just think there's so much other polls that say just the opposite. I think that
which one?
The arguments out there, I don't have them at my fingertips right now. I can tell you that's a very biased poll. I'm absolutely convinced that this is a
Why is it biased?
shutdown,
Can you explain?
More. I don't even know who is it from? I don't even know.
The Washington Post. I mean, if it's biased, you should know which one it is. It's the Washington Post poll.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think you can take a snapshot like that. What I'm hearing back home is that people think that this is a Schumer shutdown. This is a political shutdown, that AOC has hijacked the party, and this is the direction that they want to go, that they've taken this.
And now here's Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries, who says, look, they want to do their deep fake AI videos. All right, but you're going to hide behind that versus actually try to reach a solution for the American people while you take away the Affordable Care Act subsidies, which is going to cause healthcare costs for most Americans to double or triple? Here, play this clip.
Because everything that President Trump has done subsequent to Monday has been unhinged and unserious. In fact, Donald Trump is in the Presidential Witness Protection Program. No one can find him when it comes to the government shutdown issue because he knows he's responsible for having caused it. And the behavior, the erratic behavior that we've seen, is further confirmation of that unfortunate fact.
And Senate Democrats are very clear. They're holding the line. Here, play this clip.
Their threat doesn't work on me. What I care about is the fact that they're going to increase the cost on working class Americans.
There's no question that the shutdown will be painful, but we need to take a stand.
I've actually been surprised at the fact that federal workers have felt so, using Russ Vogt's term, terrorized by this administration, that they may be the strongest group yet saying, you got to push back. Now, the question will become, will they have that same view 3 weeks from now? I don't know.
And there's a sign there, John, that this could last for some time into next week. They don't come back here in a session in the Senate until Friday. At that time, we expect a vote again on that same Republican bill. If that fails, they may even go home for the weekend and come back next week, which means we could go into week 2 of the shutdown.
Is anyone talking to each other, at least? Any bipartisan talks?
No, there was actually not, John. There were some informal discussions among some members from both parties on the Senate floor because there's a lot of unease among senators, but that has not been authorized by Republican leadership. And Republican leaders are saying very clearly, the one option is the bill that passed the House, the 7-week extension of government funding. That's it, nothing else. The question is, they say, if Democrats come on board.
All right, Manu Raju up on cap.
Now, this made big news yesterday when I interviewed Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries. And he said, for all of this talk that MAGA Republicans want to do, Trump, MAGA Mike, Thune, J.D. Vance, that, this is about illegal immigrants and illegal immigrants are taking away our health care. Congressmember Jeffrey says to me, when we met in the White House and Trump refused to have the cameras there, he said they didn't even speak about unlawful migrants or undocumented migrants. He said maybe 10 seconds of the hour-long meeting, they may have mentioned it. He goes, they don't mention it because they know it's all BS. Then they go out in front of the cameras and that's what they talk about. He goes, we're saying in front of the cameras what we're saying behind the cameras. That's why we want to do these conversations in front of the cameras. And it's obvious why MAGA Mike Johnson, Donald Trump, Senator Thune, and J.D. Vance don't want to do it in front of the cameras. Here, play this clip.
What's interesting in that Oval Office meeting, it was the meeting lasted for over an hour. And the amount of time that we spent literally in talking about the issue of health insurance for undocumented immigrants was less than 10 seconds. You know why? Because they know it's a lie. So they didn't even bother to bring it up because the cameras weren't rolling. But they'll go out to their press conferences without us, where we're not able to fact check them in real time, and they'll continue to try to spout that lie. But the American people aren't buying it. They know this fight is about Medicaid. It's about their hospitals and nursing homes and community-based health clinics. It's certainly about the Affordable Care Act.
So what is Donald Trump doing? Well, Donald Trump is out here forcing the Treasury Department to print $1 Donald Trump coins. Yep, the U.S. Treasurer Brandon Beach has confirmed this is happening. And all the MAGA influencers are celebrating it. Attention all patriots, America is back. And so is the $1 coin. Donald Trump will be the face of the $1 coin, according to Treasurer Beach and Scott Besson. The first drafts show that our nation is ready to fight, fight, fight. Okay, so you're focused on golden ballrooms, gold in the Oval Office, Club Rose Garden, UFC fights, golfing, $1 Trump coins, Qatari jets, funneling billions of dollars from the Middle East into your family companies. That's what we're doing right here, rather than addressing the shutdown. Here's Democratic Governor from Illinois, J.B. Pritzker. Here's what he had to say. Let's play it.
And then I'll just take it up 10,000 feet to remind everybody that why this shutdown is taking place. The President of the United States decided to shut down the government because he's unwilling to sit down with Democrats to discuss things. And he thinks that the right thing to do is simply to fold his arms and let people go without pay, to get furloughed, and let all the services that people rely upon shut down. I think that's wrong. And I think that instead, because you need Democratic votes to get something done here, that he should simply sit down with the leaders and actually hash out a deal. He wrote a book, or supposedly wrote a book, called The Art of the Deal, and says he's a great deal maker. Time to go to work.
Finally, the MeidasTouch network was able to link up with Pete Buttigieg in Syracuse. Our Syracuse correspondent, Luke Riddell, spoke with Buttigieg, and here's what Buttigieg said about the shutdown exclusively on the MeidasTouch network. Here, play this clip.
And welcome to Syracuse.
Thanks. Glad to be with you.
So you have not yet weighed in an interview on the ongoing government shutdown. And I'm curious, watching what's happening in Washington, what your thoughts are.
Well, it's pretty clear to me that you've got President and Republican Congress who would rather see the entire government shut down than allow Americans to be able to afford their health care. I mean, it really comes down to that. Basically, what they're saying is, we'll only have the government stay open if you Democrats vote against one of your core principles, which is to make sure people can afford health care. Now, the problem, of course, is that this president and this administration, this Republican Congress, are also happy to see the federal government destroyed. They're giddy about the fact that they can do even more damage in the context of a shutdown, which is exactly the kind of chaos that this president brings every single day, and what I think Americans are more and more fatigued with.
So, MAGA Mike Johnson, here he is being asked by Fox, well, what about people who are not on Medicaid on the Affordable Care Act plans? When these subsidies expire, their monthly premiums are going to triple or quadruple. If you're paying $300 a month, it'll be like $900 a month. If you make $85,000 a year and you were paying $8,000 a year annual premiums, you're now going to be paying $24,000 in annual premiums. This is real, MAGA Mike. So what's your response? And MAGA Mike goes, the answer is not to grow government and further subsidize insurance companies. In other words, I don't give a shit about the people. And by the way, if you're interested in my own personal view, although my opinion may or may not matter to you, I believe there should be universal health care personally. I believe the way to improve the Affordable Care Act is to make health care free for everybody in the United States. That's my view of it, okay? You may disagree with it, but the Affordable Care Act plan is the best we got. Before that, there were tens of millions of people uninsured who would just die and go into medical bankruptcies. And so these subsidies are important to keep the monthly premiums low. But here's what MAGA Mike says. Here, play this clip.
Morning in the Wall Street Journal, she talks about Republicans, healthcare, the policy, and the messaging. Do you agree with her that the Republicans are weak, vulnerable on healthcare policy at this moment, when a lot of Americans are saying they are worried about the high prices, but there's just very little discussion about why the prices are so high?
Exactly. We're all concerned about that. But if they look at the facts, Republicans are the ones that are solving the problem. In the big, beautiful bill, when we put the reforms in for Medicaid, what we've done is brought down the premiums and we have eliminated the fraud, waste, and abuse. The CBO is the analyst that just put that out, August 25th. Go look it up. And they said the CBO is not a Republican group. They're the neutral arbiters here. And they say the Republicans are right, because what we did was save $185 billion of waste and abuse in the program with our reforms. And we're going to get 2.3 ineligible recipients off of that. That's those illegal aliens. That's the young, able-bodied men.
But what about
who are
people
siphoning
who are not on Medicaid, people who are either on the Obama exchanges or are worried they're going to lose their employee-sponsored health insurance?
Yes, we have a lot of reforms that we need to push through, but the answer is not to grow government and further subsidize insurance companies, which is exactly what those subsidies do. It doesn't help bring premiums down. We got to do it for the people, not for the insurance companies. That's a pretty important distinction.
Sir, thank you for your time. Appreciate you coming on. I don't know, what are you getting, like 3 hours of sleep a night?
And finally, MAGA Mike is asked, well, how do you say you take no pleasure in this shutdown when you're all like posting memes and going on vacations and you like laughing about it? Like you seem like you're like enjoying this. Watch what MAGA Mike says. Play it.
Chad.
Square something for me here. How can you say that they take no pleasure in this, and then the next minute say, oh, they're just having fun and trolling people? This is a government shutdown. On one hand, you say this is very serious, that people's jobs are on the line. On the other hand, you say, oh, this is just fun and games and they're trolling.
So the effects are very serious on real people, real Americans. We support federal employees who do a great job in all these different areas, but what they're trying to have fun with, trying to make light of, is to point out the absurdity of the Democrats' position. and they're using memes and all the, tools of social media to do that. Some people, find that entertaining, but at the end of the day, the decisions are hard ones. And I'm telling you, they're not taking any pleasure in that. Yes.
Well, there you have it, folks. I'm just bringing the receipts. I'm showing you the facts. You could judge for yourself, but there it is. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 6 million subscribers. And thanks so much for watching.
Love this video? Support independent media and unlock exclusive content, ad-free videos, and custom emojis by becoming a paid member of our YouTube channel today. You can also gift memberships to others. Let's keep growing together.